Hey there, I'm very excited today. We are going to be working together. Yeah, I have my suit, like I went to the office today and I had all this for you. And I'm very excited because you're going to see some of the things that we've been doing with ChatGPT and some of the things that ChatGPT has suggested for us physicians to improve our self-care. I wanted to talk about self-care, but I wanted to talk it in a way to talk about it in a way that I know is going to be a good way of you applying technology so that you know that there's resources available and we don't waste time so that we can do other fun stuff. So I went ahead and I asked ChatGPT 10 ways that it is actually helping physicians today to improve their self-care. I didn't want to do just a generic self-care talk or presentation for you today. And I wanted to really show you how I'm working ChatGPT. I'm gonna show you some parts. I'm not gonna show you everything because then we would be here a very long time. But I hope that this is a very good introduction so that you know what we've been doing and it inspires you. And you know what? If I told you everything you know already, please show me what you know that so that I can get more inspiration for us because we like sharing. One of the things that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be opening our screen shortly so that I'm going to share with you and I'm going to be reading things that are suggestions and then we're going to be doing these exercises together. There's something that's called prompting and I'm going to show you how I do that, how I've learned to do some of that, and hopefully you can tell me maybe some tools later that or improve ways, even better ways of doing what I'm going to share with you today. So here we are. You're going to see me looking at the computer. And this is the page that if you have ChatGPT 4, you come to. So ChatGPT has right now two versions, one that you don't pay for, which is ChatGPT 3.5, and then the version that's 4. And I decided to pay. You pay a monthly fee of around $20, and then you have access to these other tools that I'm going to show you. So the website is chat.openai.com. And then there's going to tell you which products they have. And then you're going to choose, ChatGPT. Once you're inside, if you paid like me, then you have access to this screen. If you can tell here on the left side, I'm going to show you some things that I did today, some things that we've been doing in the last previous days and even in the last month. We don't only use ChatGPT, we also use something else called Claude. Today, we're not going to talk about Claude. Claude is a very similar program with this type of generative AI where it's more with emotional intelligence. And if you want to explore that, we might have a different day that we use it for you here, a different workshop. We're going to call this like a workshop for self-care for the physician with ChatGPT. So in this case, you're going to see here in the left corner, if you can see my little cursor here, my little hand, it says ChatGPT 4. And we have different options. You see the ChatGPT 4 and ChatGPT 3.5. And then you have plugins. We're not going to be doing a lot of these things. I'm going to just do very, very brief explanation because we want to get to the tools that we have for you as a physician to get better. But basically, ChatGPT 4 here, now it has this tool, DALL-E, and that allows you to produce some amazing drawings, like amazing. That's something for you to play with later if you haven't played with that. It allows for browsing and it allows for analysis. So if we just choose browsing here, we can, it goes into Bing, and then we can do that tool. The other one that you can choose is plugins here. And then plugins, and I show you GPT-4 and plugins because with those tools, you can get up-to-date information. Plugins, we're going to open plugins. One of the things that I've noticed is like if I go here and I choose to work with plugins, then I'm working with plugins and I cannot go back. Even if I have a whole conversation with ChatGPT, I cannot go back and then choose something else. So I'll have to start a new conversation. So for right now, let me show you what plugins are in some detail. And then we're going to choose just GPT-4 or plugins to work. Today, we might just exchange conversations, and I'll show you that in a second. So Prompting engineering is when you're going to design a question to ask ChatGPT. For this, you don't need to know any programming. Those of you, who've been using this for a while, and it's easy to really train yourself on this, especially if you're a physician, you know how to ask questions. So you're going to be asking questions, specific questions, and the more detail that you give, the more data that you give, the better your results are going to be. So let me show you what plugins are. So if you activate plugins, remember that this is a version that you have to pay for on a monthly basis. You can have access to a lot of things that are going to be extra, okay? All those things, ChatGPT per se, 3.5 and 4 is not going to allow you to read a PDF or read a website or do all that reading specific that you're asking. For that, you need to plug in something else, another different tool, an app that's going to allow you to do that. But they're amazing. So here's some of the lists that I have used in the past. One of my favorite ones you're going to see Scholar AI, where it's going to go and research documents, scientific literature, which as a physician is very important for us. I also like to do a web pilot. So with web pilot, it allows me to put a website. It's going to read the website. If the website has PDFs, if it has other information, then it will read it and interpret that data for us. If we look here, link reader, I like link reader, and then you can ask your PDF. So if you have PDFs, this can go to that link and then read them. If you choose them, you cannot choose more than 3 at a time. And I found that sometimes some of them are not working. So the thing is going to tell you, the generated product is going to tell you, there's an error, and then you have to go back and figure out that plugin wasn't working. Let me show you. It has you can go to the plugin store, and most of them, or I'm not going to say most of them, let's say many of them don't need a subscription to anything. Okay, so the plugin will be enough for you to work. Some of them are going to be plugins generated by different companies that allows you to use your account in that other application. Okay, here you see that you have popular plugins, you have new plugins, you have all, you have the ones that I have installed. It's going to show me what I have installed. And then it's not going to allow you to install just everything. And remember that you can only use 3 at a time at a maximum. And that's been my experience. If somebody has a tip to do something else, let me know. So I'm telling you about my experience. And then here, if I want to look for a plugin that will allow me to do something in particular, I can search that. For example, I'm going to look for something about shopping, right? So if I want to, for example, at some point, you're going to see that we're going to create maybe a menu for a patient who's coming, and maybe a menu for us. If us as physicians, we want to learn to cook healthier for us or do something specific that we've never cooked, you can actually ask ChatGPT about a recipe that contains some materials or is cooked in a certain way. And then you can ask for the stores, and then it can tell you, okay, this is the recipe, this is how much you're going to need, and this is where you can find it in the store, and give you a shopping list to go to that store and get it done. Like, it's crazy good. So if you want to go shopping, then you can install a plugin, and you say, you know what, I want a recipe from this type of cook. So if there's a favorite chef that you have, you can actually put the website of that favorite chef so that it knows which style to cook in. You'd give it the particular type of recipe that you want, and you give them a plugin for a shopping, and then it will do all that stuff. Okay, so let's go out of there. And right now we are, let me see if I can go back here. See, like, I'm going to choose just plain ChatGPT. Okay. So this one, I have different things here. I have chosen something that allows for me to have some prompts already, very complicated prompts integrated with this, which is this AI PRM. I'm not going to use that right now, but that's a tool that you have within ChatGPT that you can put in there as well. So let's start with the number one way that ChatGPT itself answered that it's already helping physicians to improve their self-care. The number one it said, and I don't think these are in order of importance or basic to more complicated. It just gave me 10. So I'm going to go over the 10 in that order that they're there. So the first one, it was efficient information retrieval, quick access to medical information, guidelines and research, reducing time spent on literature research. An example would be quickly summarizing the latest treatment protocols for a specific condition, saving time on research. So for this one, I might want to use a plugin. So plugin, let's say, I'm just going to give you an example. This doesn't mean that it's the best way or the no way. I'm just going to tell you how one of the million ways that you could do this type of search, okay? So I could go here and I can say, okay, you know what? I'm going to do a link reader because I might want to go, I don't know, to the Mayo Clinic, right? The Mayo Clinic website to mention something. And then I might, at the same time, want to go to, where was it? Scholar AI, okay? So then I have chosen 2 plugins. And then you're going to see here that I have the icons for these 2 plugins. So that means that I'm ready in this particular conversation to ask ChatGPT about doing some research for me. So then I'm going to go down here, and this is the window where you do your prompting engineering, right? Like engineering, you design, and then this is where you write it, okay? You're going to see that you want the output in English. The tone is default. I could say, you know, some different tones. I'm just paying the $20 a month. I'm not going to pay for more. I think this is enough for me. And then you can have and choose other writing styles. However, one thing that you can do is while you're doing your prompting, you can say, you know, I want to have such and such. And then instead of the tone, you know, instead of emotional, you can say like, you know, very serious or educative or academic writing style or something like that, okay, for the answer. So you can ask those things in your prompt. Those are the ones that we're missing there. They're pre-built, but this is something that you can integrate if you've done some prompting engineering. So let's suppose that I wanted, what sort of things did I have today? Today I have somebody with COVID. Actually, I had 2 patients who I think one has long COVID and that another one has, I think he could have COVID. The preliminary testing was negative, but he had the symptoms. Anyways, so let's say, so we want to do quickly summarizing the latest treatment protocols for a specific condition, okay? I'm going to go here and I'm going to use the Mayo Clinic website, okay? So we go to the Mayo Clinic. So I'm going to say, imagine you are a physician. Let's say, let's be more specific. An internal medicine physician and want to review the latest protocols. And trust me, yes, I can write the CDC and all that stuff, but it's for you to choose, right? And you can do the FLCCC or you can do CDC, however you want to do it. This is just an example of how you can make things quicker for you, okay? So imagine you're an internal medicine physician and want to review the latest protocols for treatment of acute COVID-19. Would I go to the Mayo Clinic for that? Not necessarily, but this is what we have right now that I have, okay? So we tell it who we think they are, okay? And then what I'm going to ask for it is I'm going to say, please review the most recent literature in the last 6 months. And also the Mayo Clinic website at, and then I write there, Mayo Clinic, I plug it in. So then the prompt right now so far is, imagine you are an internal medicine physician and want to review the latest protocols for the treatment of acute COVID-19. Please review the most recent literature in the last 6 months and also the Mayo Clinic website for the Mayo Clinic, okay? And then now the question, okay? So can you please give me a list of the first and second line of treatments. Okay. So second lines of treatment is going to correct me. And then the thing with this is that I try to correct what I'm saying. If it gives you some recommendations. I have it connected to Grammarly. It's another program that we have in our computer. So if you don't know what that is, we can talk about it later. But Grammarly will help me make sure that I don't have too many mistakes when I'm writing my prompting. And then I'll do that. And then so I ask, can you please give me a list of the first and second lines of treatment? And then I'll say, please generate the response on a table, that includes, and let's see, so that you see the power a little bit more of this. Hopefully it will happen. I've never asked it this question, so I'm making this as I go so that you know that how to do it yourself. So please generate the response on a table that includes a list of many patients come to me as a functional medicine doctor asking me for natural and for alternative and conventional ways of medicine. Okay, that includes a list of natural / alternative treatments, and that includes a column instead of a list, a column of natural alternative and a column of conventional medicine treatments. Okay, I have no idea how this is going to come, but I just wrote it and it says there's an error. See, there's an error with the plugins. So we might have to then get rid of one of the plugins, and we might have to get rid. Let me try Scholar AI right now. And then I'm going to go ahead and generate. So these are things. Let's see, I'm going to ask for it to regenerate. And now we'll see. So it's reading the link. You can see there that it's reading the link of the website that I gave it. So we're not going to have that review right now. It might, at times, you have a good, work of the plugins, and this time it doesn't seem to be the case. But I asked it for a table. Let's see what it says. So we've put this, I don't know how many seconds right now, but it was very few seconds. And we already have a treatment line, first line and second line, with the conventional medicine on one side and the natural alternative treatments on the other side. So don't tell me that those 10 seconds there to get an answer like this after I prompted, it took me a little while to produce that prompt, but I gave it enough information that it gave me what I think I wanted, right? So I think that that's a great way, doing that efficient information retrieval that really improves self-care because we spend less time doing that thing. Let's see. A second one is administrative assistance. Automating administrative tasks such as scheduling and patient communication, alleviating workload. An example would be drafting and organizing patient appointment emails and reminders automatically. You know what? Instead of doing that, I'm going to do like the first example that I did when I wanted to learn some about ChatGPT. I learned people looking at using ChatGPT to doing a prior authorization letter. And right now, let's see, we're going to leave it. We're going to keep it here. I'm not going to put a plugin. But let's say I've done interventional pain management for a long time and I want to do a prior authorization letter for a patient who wants to get a radiofrequency ablation done, okay? So I'm going to write from the get-go, can you please write a draft? I'm going to ask for a draft for a prior authorization letter for a patient whom we want to have a lumbar radio frequency ablation. And see how I'm like not spelling things right here. So I have this thing that's gonna, this thing that's gonna help me, which is the Grammarly that I told you, okay? So now it's just not gonna do a letter if you just ask for a letter like that. So I'm gonna give it some detail, okay? The patient has mechanical non-radicular lumbar pain that responded to diagnostic lumbar medial branch nerve blocks. And I'm going to tell you something as soon as I'm done with this one. It had previously failed 6 months, because it's unfamiliar, 6 months of conservative treatments, including massage, ergonomic changes, physical, let's say it here, 6 weeks of physical therapy, has no signs of infection or other contraindications. Okay, and then I'm going to write, please cite 3 references for supporting literature. Okay, but I'm going to ask for it also to please ensure that these references are they're how do you say, legitimate. Okay, because one of the things, I don't know if you know how ChatGPT produces information, but basically is the language is the most likely next word. So it might be that it gives you wonderful looking literature, but it's fake. It's called hallucination because it's not real, and it's giving you whatever it thinks the next word should be or the next number. So we have to make sure, and I say a draft because you have to check what it reproduces, right? And you should also make sure that you have correct literature. Okay, I'm not going to check that today, but I'm going to show you an example. Okay, I'm going to say, please make sure the references are actual and not imaginary. We'll see. I've never used that way, but let's see what it looks like. One of the things that I wanted to tell you, so I just wrote that. I'm going to press enter. Okay, and it's 9:05 at the time I'm recording this, so we'll see how long it takes. Not even 10 seconds, it's already writing for us. So you can save these as templates, the letters or the questions that you're asking. Okay, so if you ask those prompts, I recommend, one of the things that's going to happen is that this is going to delete the conversations that you're having. The more conversations are going to be deleted with time, so you save them somewhere. Okay, so look at this. I'm going to start reading some of this letter for you guys. So it started with a heading. It says your name, MD, your address, zip code, like your address, the whole thing, the date, the insurance company name, claims department address, city and state zip code. ChatGPT is not a doctor, right? How does it know these things that it should be there? Regarding prior authorization for lumbar radial frequency ablation, patient's name, policy number, date of birth, giving you the blanks to put these things there. As dear claims review officer, I'm writing to request a prior authorization for a lumbar radial frequency ablation RFA procedure. Did I tell you it was an RFA? No, I didn't. Procedure for my patient's name, who has been under my care for chronic mechanical non-radicular lumbar pain. This request is based on the patient's clinical history, response to previous treatments, and current medical necessity. Clinical background and rationale for RFA. Diagnosis and response to diagnostic block, and it says, the name has a well-documented history of mechanical non-radicular lumbar pain. The patient responded positively to 2 diagnostic lumbar medial branch nerve blocks, indicating the medial branch nerves as a pain generator. Yes, I still am amazed every time I do something with it. That's new. Failure of conservative treatments. The patient has undergone an extensive 6-month course of conservative treatments, including massage therapy, ergonomic adjustments, and 6-week regimen of physical therapy, all of which failed to provide adequate pain relief. One thing I didn't write was the pain level. You guys can do that. This is just for you to know the power of what you can do. So the better information you give it, the better the letter. That's why it's called a draft. I didn't say a final letter, right? And still, I'm not going to ask it for doing anything final for me. I review everything that it produces anyways. That's a major big tip, okay? Absence of contraindications, patient's name, you plug it in, has been thoroughly evaluated and shows no signs of infection or other contraindications that would preclude for safe performance of an RFA, okay? Now, it gave us some 3 references. It's up to you to go and check that. And then it says, based on the patient's history response to diagnostic interventions and the supporting evidence from the literature, lumbar radial frequency elevation is medically necessary and appropriate next step in the management of the patient's chronic lumbar pain. I didn't tell it that. It said it, right? It's already part of a letter. So that's a second way that you can have self-care, helping you with the administrative duties of your work, okay? Those prior authorizations, I have to tell you, it's been my nemesis, and I think that this is a great way of doing that. So remember to please check that the supporting literature is a real article, because at times it's not. Okay, number 3, stress management resources. Providing resources and tools for stress management, mindfulness, and mental well-being. An example, providing scripts or guides for mindfulness exercises tailored for busy healthcare professionals. So let's try that. I do want to tell a word or two about mindfulness, and I know that probably many of you have heard a lot about that. And the truth is that in general, physicians, we are really bad at taking care of ourselves, especially when moments of stress or dealing with problems. There was this study from earlier this year, 2023, that showed how we cope, and we really don't do that well. Not many of us really do mindfulness. And based on my personal experience, I have to tell you that I've had situations where I've had a lot of stress. I get the anxious, you feel anxious, you get the tachycardia. And those breathing exercises, parasympathetic nerve system, activation really works. And just recently, I was very fortunate to be part of let's say it was like a retreat, because it was supposed to be a 3-hour thing. It was a 5-hour process where we went through different levels of meditation, relaxation, and those effects lasted for 2 days. It was amazing. And we've been doing meditation, like that was like a booster, like a loading dose, and then meditation since then. And it really has helped me. So let's ask ChatGPT right now for a meditation. So imagine, or you can say imagine you are a very busy emergency room physician living with an chaotic ER at 3 a.m. in the morning, and you want to meditate for 5 minutes. I don't know if you're going to have 5 minutes as an ER doctor. They're going to probably find you, page you or something. But anyways, well, these days they don't page. They have those phones with everything else. But anyways, so let's ask to ChatGPT to do something for you to help you with mindfulness. Okay? Can you give me a quick series of steps to achieve relaxation within 5 minutes? Let's see what it says, okay? So if you're an ear doctor, it says, certainly. I love when it says certainly. Here's a quick 5-minute, let me see, let me move this from. A quick 5-minute meditation guide that can be done even in a busy emergency room setting to achieve relaxation. So 1 minute, find a quiet spot. I don't know that you can find one, but it's telling you to find a quiet spot. If possible, find a relatively quiet and private space in the ER. This could be a small office in the corner or a corner away from the main hustle. Sit comfortably, either up on a chair with your feet flat on the ground or on the floor in a cross-legged position. Number 2, 2 minutes. Focus on your breath. Close your eyes to minimize distractions. Take deep, slow breaths. Inhale through your nose, feeling your abdomen expand, and then exhale slowly through your mouth. Concentrate on the sensation of your breath entering and leaving your body. If your mind wanders, gently bring your focus back to your breath. Body scan, 1 minute. Briefly focus on each part of your body, starting from your toes and moving upwards. As you focus on each part, consciously relax it, releasing any tension you notice. Acknowledge any discomfort or pain without focusing on it, and then gently move your attention to the next part of your body. Now, 30 seconds to acknowledge your surroundings. Slowly become aware of your surroundings. Notice any sounds, the temperature of the room, and any smells. Acknowledge your role and environment without judgment or stress. Number 5, 30 seconds, gently return. Open your eyes slowly. Take a moment to notice how your body feels. Stand up gradually and stretch gently if needed. Transition back, which is an optional. It gives you a bonus. As you return to your duties, try to maintain this sense of calm. Take deep breaths periodically to center yourself, especially with the environment when the environment becomes stressful. Me personally, I would probably just plug it into YouTube, get a guided meditation and do it. But the point here is the point of the exercise. This is a way that ChatGPT can help you. And if you don't have access to YouTube, I don't know that you would not have access to ChatGPT, but this is something that it's saying that it can help you to improve your self-care. Meditation. There you go. I'm not going to go through all of them. I just want to show you how prompt engineering works, some examples, and then that you can also do this on your own. So we might skip through some of them. There might be some others that I want to tell you more about. Educational support. That's number 4. Assisting with continuous learning by summarizing new research findings and medical advancements. An example, summarizing key points from recent medical journals relevant to a physician's specialty. We kind of did that already, so you saw that. Number 5, patient education, generating patient education materials, saving time for physicians and improving patient understanding. An example, creating easy to understand patient handouts on managing chronic conditions like diabetes. So we did that letter of prior authorization. We can do for anything that you want, for any medication, for anything. So let's say, something, I'm just going to think amlodipine, right? So please create an educational handout draft. Not done. Let me fix this handout draft for the patients on amlodipine. Please list the most important aspects about the use of this medication. Okay, so if I want to do good prompting engineering here, I'm going to ask for the specific things that I wanted to teach the patients about. I'm going to specifically type, like the indications, the contraindications, the side effects, the doses, medications that would interact with that. Okay, I'm not telling it any of those things right now. Let's see what it does. Okay, so I'm going to go enter, and let's see what ChatGPT creates as a patient education brochure on amlodipine. Okay, it's thinking about it right now, and there it goes. So it starts with that title. It says patient education handout understanding amlodipine. Now is explaining what it is. So it's going through a definition and the class of medication. Now it says how to take it. So then in dosage, it says follow your doctor's prescription, which is, I think, smart in this situation. Administration. So it says once a day, with or without food. And then it talks about missed dose. See, if you miss a dose, take it as soon as possible. Right now it's a little bit slow, I don't know, but it's doing its thing. Sometimes if you see that it stops, you can go ahead and it says it will ask you continue generating, and then you press there and then it continues generating. Okay. And so now it's going to go to possible side effects. and it says common side effects. One of the things that I want to warn you about this is like when you're doing some information for the patient like this, please read everything, make sure that it's true, because it might say, you know what, because of what I told you, the way that this is produced, it might say, the most common side effects for most drugs are this, and that, and that's what it might plug in. And it might not be really the most common side effects of the particular medication you're using, okay? It has common serious, now it has precautions and medical history. So I think that you're getting the idea that we're probably going to have at least a great profile, a great series of questions and answers. And, now it's going through pregnancy and breastfeeding, just with the general disclosure, okay? After this, you can ask it to, okay, now create a disclosure about this brochure. And it can create a disclosure that it can be saying probably for you for this for educational purposes only or something like that. So you'll see now it's going to go through the drug interaction. So remember, I didn't ask it specifically what to say, but there it is. So I'm going to let that one run, and then I'm going to continue. And, probably if you're watching the video, you're going to be very interested in what it's writing right now. But let's go to some others. So 6, burnout reduction. So number 6, reducing burnout by streamlining repetitive tasks and offering support for mental health. An example would be offering tips and resources for managing work-related stress and preventing burnout. And I already did this exercise with it because I was asking it specifically what things they would do for improving self-care for physicians. And then it talks about the importance of self-care for physicians. It gave me, information about physical health, mental well-being, work-life balance, professional support, continuous learning. So you get it, okay? Let's go to number 7, networking and collaboration. And I think this one, we don't necessarily think automatically about it. What is this going to do for us in this sense? So it says facilitating connections with other healthcare professionals for advice and support. An example, connecting physicians with online forums or communities for professional support and advice, like what we're doing here right now, right? So I think that's a great point of view. I've been able, through artificial intelligence, not only through ChatGPT, to really meet a lot of wonderful physicians who are doing great things for patients around the world. And I've been honored to do that. And it's only right now because of the curiosity, right? Being curious about what's happening in the world, being curious about what's happening with this technology. And we're getting together. It's a community that's building throughout the world, and we all feel that we must be involved in these tools. Okay. Number 8, this is a fun one. Remote monitoring support. So assisting in interpreting data from remote monitoring devices, aiding in patient management. An example of this would be interpreting data trends from remote patient monitoring devices and summarizing them for a quick review. Once again, I have shown you some ways. See, there's a disclaimer. Now I'm looking at the page. It says disclaimer. This handout provides a general overview and may not include all aspects of amlodipine. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your healthcare provider. And what you can do is you can copy this and then plug it in and then say, if you have any more questions about this, don't hesitate to call our phone number or something like that. So that's fun. So going back to number 8, there, the remote monitoring. So one of the things that you can do, and as I was explaining to you when I got distracted by the disclaimer, was that you can have all these prompts and you can pre-program. You can do little programs yourself by like that thing on the corner right there that it says AI PRM. Those are prompts that are already done by many people and you can use. So you can build your own. So when you are treating the patients and you have the home monitors for them, whatever it is, EKG, whatever it is, many of those companies obviously have already taken care of it. Many of the questions that they have that you might have, that the patient could have, with their own artificial intelligence tools, but it might be that there's one single question that they have an answer for you. And you can download some of that data and then plugging it to this. It doesn't store. So, okay, earlier versions of ChatGPT will store the information that you put. And as long as you don't put any descriptors of that patient, any identifiers, you should be okay. ChatGPT 4 will not store the data to our knowledge. If you don't put descriptors for that patient, that should be okay. And we're talking about patient information, but doing those things will improve you by giving you more time, giving you more answers. That's why we're saying that this all improves self-care by giving you things that you're going to use directly for yourself and in your clinic. So think about that one for your patients that you're monitoring now with all these monitors that we have around, and more is coming. It's going to be amazing. Number 9, personalized wellness tip. Offering personalized wellness and health tips based on current best practices. An example is providing tailored advice on balancing work and personal life, including exercise and nutrition tips. So let's say that for your wellness, you want to, and I know that you can do many of these things, but let's try to complicate it a little bit, okay? So suppose you're trying to build core muscle, right? Or your core muscle to build your build up to build up your core muscles, right? You want to improve the looks of your abs and feel a stronger back in, let's say, 3 months, okay? Which exercises would be most effective for this? Please keep in mind, and here's the little trick, you would have a torn rotator cuff and a sprained ankle. Okay, so if you're trying to do your core, one of the things that's important, like, for example, if you do a plank, you need your shoulders and you need your ankles, right? So let's see what it comes up with, okay? Here we go here. And these are things that we can also do for our patients, but this is for you, that physician who wants to build their core and have wonderful abs in just 3 months. So let's see what it says. And I don't know if it's going to give us some, I think I only asked for exercises, but I didn't ask for a routine. Like, it could also give you, and I'll show you how to do that. Like, so it's saying the pelvic tilts. So it tells you exactly how they are. And then the dead bug exercise. So yeah, you would be okay with your ankles and your shoulder. And then the seated knee lift. So it's moving you, see, like it's already moving you through a routine that will take into consideration other aspects of your body that might keep you from having great abs that you normally, like moving your shoulders. So this is really, so a modified plank. Look, starting a kneeling position. There you go. And bridge. And I have never written this before. I'm just coming up like exercise because I love doing the prompting and the wonderful things that we get. So it's already on its 7th type of exercise. And then obviously you would, if you're sharing this with a patient, you have to understand them and then share them and have, see, the safety tips. Now it's giving you safety tips for that. And it's telling you to warm up, pain awareness, progress gradually, and then consult the professional. Okay, so then I'm going to ask it because I forgot to ask. I only asked about the exercises, but what about the diet, the best diet and supplements that would go with such a thing? So can you now tell me which type of diet would best help me with this process? And I'm not going to tell it that I'm doing my abs again. I could, but it's part of the conversation. So it should, in theory, know that we're building the abs. So we'll see. And then I'm going to say, please keep in mind that we cannot, just to throw something that would help with this process. And please keep in mind that we want to use a diet, a non-dairy diet, and no beef, just to say something, no beef, and no, I know somebody who's allergic to peaches, no peaches. Not that it's going to tell me anything about peaches, but anyway, so let's see. We're going to do regenerate there. So there's an error. So when sometimes it says an error and then you just submit it, okay? So now here you go. It gives you some protein sources, and you can, depending on your style, you can check out how it's, so it has the healthy fats and all this stuff. So it goes through a whole diet, and you can ask for recipes, and you can ask, as I said, you can go shopping even with that, okay? 10th, our last one, reflective practice. So I'm going to say, at some point, you recommended we practice journaling and self-reflection as a physician to improve our self-care. Can you please tell me how, please tell me, I can say 5 steps for me to do this. Can you give me an example of a table that would help my journaling as a physician? And then please include the best elements of lifestyle medicine. I also want to record some of my daily experiences at work with and without patients, and at home, as well as my daily goals. That might be a little bit too much. We're gonna see. I'm fixing here what I misspelled, and let's see what it tells us. Okay. So it's now thinking. And now it's giving us some tips first. So it's telling us to first set a regular time for journaling, then create a comfortable space, then decide on a format, which can be a physical notebook, a digital document, or a journaling app. Then how to reflect on key areas, review and adjust. And here's the example of a journaling table. It's producing it. So we'll see how it ends up being. And if you have any questions, you can certainly go to see how it looks. Go to our Maxillary Mastermind channel, a YouTube channel. So right now it gives an example, 123. So daily goals. It actually gives you examples of what to put on each of those sections. Work experience with patients, work experience without patients, home experience, lifestyle amazing elements, and reflections. So it tells you just an example to organize your thoughts and experiences. You can do endless things with this. We have just touched on here on your health, which is the most important thing, because this week the topic is for you to take care of yourself so that you can take care of others. And I decided to use artificial intelligence to do this. Take advantage of it. It might seem simple for many. It might be like complicated for others. It might be that just sparks ideas for you to do. And that's what we want. Okay. We want you to take care of yourself. We want you to create things that are going to be great for you. Use these tools for your benefits so that you can continue caring for others as physician, as an entrepreneur, as a family member. Okay. I hope you have a great week. I'll see you then. Thanks for being with us here today. Bye.